Hi, hi everyone. So thanks, Millie, for the introduction. and so I've been at the public sector for like 5 years now, not too much. So I joined customs in 2012. So before joining customs, I used to work for Dialog actually. So I used to sit at the branches, handling customers, customer service officer. So it is where people come to complain actually, when their SIM doesn't work, when the bill shows some additional charges, 30 rupees per month, they don't know what service it is. They come and shout at us, how dare you charge 30 rupees per month from us. So when you provide a service like to your customers, you need to make sure that you provide after sales service too, like, you need to serve the customers. So that's a vital point, mostly adopted by private sector institutions like service providers, including Dialog. They have so many channels where people can access their service. But when it comes to public sector, it's quite different. So when I moved from private sector to public sector, it was a bigger change. If you have a complaint regarding a service you receive from your Pradesh Sabha or your village council or anything, obviously you don't have proper channels where you can escalate the issue and get responses. So but we do have ways, like you have to visit them in person, you have to write a letter, you have to hand over the form, and you have to wait for the response, and they create a file, and then the file goes from one place to another, and then you don't know where it goes, and end of the day sometimes the file get lost, and then you have to start the process all over again. So that's how it is as of now. So how can public sector adopt social media tools like say Facebook or Twitter or any other tools in serving public more effectively? So that has been a question for long, and there has been so many countries which have been doing this in a good way. And lately in Sri Lanka also we have seen few initiatives where the serving public through social media channels has been brought up. So the first question we get is like, why should public sector institutions actually use social media channels to reach people? I mean, they have so many other ways. If you are a urban council, you have ways to reach people through letters or representatives, so on like that. But as you know, as of late, these numbers actually, one of the hardest things in Sri Lanka is to find user statistics for social media channels. But somehow, by accessing multiple sources, I've come up with these numbers. Like close to 30% of Sri Lankan population have access to internet, and close to 21 million is our population as of 2015, according to Central Bank. And according to social media marketing institutions in Sri Lanka, close to 7 million is the number where people have access to internet. So that's like 30%, and this number keeps on growing. So additionally, 50% of the Sri Lankan population, almost 50%, falls in the age group of 15 to 44. It's like 9.5 million according to Central Bank. And it is also the same age group, according to the Department of Census, that shows highest computer literacy rate. And it is also the same age group whose household have access to internet and email, most percentage. It's quite understandable, because like if you see the age group 15 to 44, it's mostly the people born in 80s, 90s, and after that. So it is when the internet got started and it got adopted by many. So it's quite understandable. But as you can see, it's a huge number. Like 50% of the population means that social media channels are way more easier, or like more efficient ways of accessing the public, rather than using traditional media channels, or rather than using any traditional communication methods. So it is better late than never, as they say. Like it's high time, like public service institutions or public sector organizations also start using these social media channels to provide their service to public. So that's the point. So this is actually, I got a screenshot from Twitter today. So this is how, this is a familiar site on Dialog. When you tweet them a complaint, they ask you to DM your mobile number. I mean, it's quite annoying for many, when you see it on a timeline. But at the end of the day, what they try to do is they try to coordinate the complaint management, because Dialog has a separate complaint management unit inside their department. And there is a face-to-face customer service professionals, and then there's the social media channels. So what the social media professionals do is try to coordinate all three of them and provide a solution. So if you lodge a complaint, you get a complaint reference number, and they follow up and they sort it out. So like the process is quite similar to what happens in government institutions also. Like if you go for an institution, say you go to the police station and say you lost your NIC, or you've lost something, then obviously they record a statement. You have to wait in the line. You have to, if you are in the northern province or eastern province, and if your native language is not Sinhala, and it's not quite easy to find a police officer who understands Tamil or English for that matter. So then you'll have to wait for someone in the police department who knows both languages, and then wait for him to come and record your statement in your language, and then he has to escalate it and give you a reference number or complaint number, and the whole process is there. So how can Sri Lanka learn from other countries in doing these type of services? So during my recent visit to US, I had the opportunity of meeting multiple people from different countries, most of them working for different governments actually, not the private sector. So Indonesia had a few participants who had some interesting stories. One of the service they use is called Lepo. So its service, this is an extract, I've grabbed this from their website itself. So citizens can send complaints by texting to their, the service, or they can log into the website, or they can use the mobile app, or they can use Twitter to lodge their complaints. And for each complaint, they receive a unique tracking ID, through which they can follow up. So what happens is this institution, so this agency, coordinates with different government institutions. So if you have a complaint to be lodged to the police, so what this agency will do is give you a reference number and forward that complaint to the police online. And they have a KPI of 5 days within which they have to respond to you, provide you with a solution. So if that particular agency doesn't reply you or provide you a solution within 5 days, this particular agency will follow up and forward that matter to the higher officials, maybe the head of the department. And what happens is, it benefits both sides. Once for public, they know what's happening. They get the feedback. And if they don't receive it, the head of the department will know about the issue, and he will question the officer why the solution has not been provided. On the other hand, the government or the head of the department knows which divisions in his agency are not effective, not doing the work properly, who is not responding on time. So it benefits in both ways. So this is one example. The second example is a project called Jakarta Smart City, which involves 2 different apps. So for example, if you take the online cab services, you get 2 different apps, like the passenger gets an app called the passenger app, and the driver gets an app called driver app. So likewise, there are 2 apps in this service. One is called Clue, which is used by the public. Public can download the app on Android, iPhone, and other platforms. And there's an app called Crop that is used by the public service officials. They have to download that app. And what happens is, people can actually lodge complaints, take photographs. Say, for example, if there is a drainage leak on the road, they can take a photograph and upload it. If they have a problem in their street, say, for example, the street light doesn't function, so how do they escalate the issue to the municipal council? So they don't have to go and hand over a letter and wait for their response, or wait for the next election to the people to actually come and, see that. So they don't have to do that. They simply have to upload this. Actually, this works with Twitter and Facebook. They can log in through the Facebook credentials and of Twitter credentials, and they can use it. And other people who are using it, they can upvote it, like what happens in Reddit or any other platform, they can upvote it. So the issue the other people think that needs more consideration comes up. So when it reaches certain amount of upvotes, the government institution has to respond. They have to say, for example, there is a a drainage issue in the road which generates more traffic in the morning. So people take a photograph, and if they generate more upvotes, they have to immediately repair that. And so that's how it works. It has several categories where people can upload the photos and upvote or downvote the issue. And also the government institution itself, it can monitor, in the app, like which area generates more problem, who is in charge of that area. Say, for example, who is the parliamentarian looking after that area? Why is it that this particular area is generating so many queries? So this is one of these areas. They use multiple APIs and Google Maps services and various traffic information to do this. So that's one good example which could be adopted by many other countries, especially countries like Sri Lanka. Especially since I mentioned that most of the people who have access to internet are this age group, like 15 to 44. So they have their smartphones and they have the internet access. So they are the most active people who also use the traffic and transport methods daily. So they can do that. And then, so this the description given by them for the particular service, like the rapid response team will see the poll, like which problem has generated more votes and which needs more attention for them. So that's one thing. So that is these are few examples on how social media channels and or apps which link to social media can be used by different government institutions to serve people better. And one of the interesting ideas created by ICTA very recently, which is currently being implemented, is the smart social circles. So this is a very new thing they are doing. So I am not entirely sure how successful it's going to be. But this is currently limited to Facebook. So what the ICTA has done is they have initiated a program called Smart Social Circle, and made different villages, village level or town level, communities, to create their own Facebook pages. So actually the ICTA has created these pages, Facebook pages, and they have got like coordinating of people from, like, each district has 2-3 coordinating officers, and each village or each Grama Sevaka division or something like that, they will have one person who is in charge of this page, like a page admin. What they will do is whatever happening in that particular village, those details will come up on this page. For example, if there is a Ramadana campaign being organized, they will put the details on here. If there is some good thing happening in the village, they will put here. Say, for example, someone is starting a business in that village and they are trying to get some good market and they don't know how to reach out to markets in Colombo or abroad, they will put the details here. So this will function something like an official web page for that particular village. But as we all know that the time of having official web pages is like mostly gone now. So everyone uses social media channels to access. So this Facebook page will be something like an official Facebook page for that particular village. So since it is something new and is done by ICTA, and I'm not sure about how it is being funded or how they are regulating it, I'm not sure where it is heading, but this one interesting idea how Sri Lanka is adapting to new social media tools in making the public service better. So so if you go and search on Facebook for Smart Social Circle, you will get a huge list of Facebook pages with names of each village, and possibly you will find a page for your village too. So this is one small example on how they are doing things. I mean, they have a long way to go. They have a lot to improve on it. But this is Ramadana campaign. They have put pictures of it. And why these things are huge? Because when it comes to public sector or the village level institutions, they are fairly new to these kind of tools, and they have to start it somewhere before they reach their destination. So these sort of things are pretty interesting and have a good potential in reaching the communities. So other things Sri Lanka has been doing, during our presidents and other government institutions, we have seen Twitter question and answer sessions like, multiple, like central bank had one, our presidents have had few. And then during the last year, I think, during the flooding, there was a huge issue of coordinating the relief efforts, and as well as, getting the information out to the public through official sources. And there were multiple sources reporting information, and there was no official details coming out from anyone. So there were some fake news, there were unofficial information, so many. So people started questioning, and then somehow the department of, the disaster management center and other government departments started creating their own official Twitter handles, and they now have Twitter presence. So whenever there is an emergency alert, they put it up first. So people know that this is coming through an official source. And as you know, Twitter has the facility to, subscribe to notifications, where you can even get SMS alerts whenever something happens. So these are good examples on how the government institutions are starting to do things, and which have good potential and which can go further. But still, there are huge challenges. For example, like, say take the place I work for, the Sri Lanka Customs. We actually had a project to start a Facebook page for Sri Lanka Customs. And what happened was that when we started receiving so many messages from people. When you are trying to come from abroad, you want to know what is the maximum size of the TV you can bring in. So if you want to import something from abroad, you want to know what are the taxes. So you want to take something out of the country, you want to know what are the procedures, like you want to know whether you need to have a license. So what happens was that when these messages started coming, we didn't have a proper, like a social media division or anything to respond to them. Because you can't just respond to, hand-picked people. You have to respond to them, frequently. So eventually what we did was, we had to make the page unofficial, mention it is an unofficial page, and actually shut down the messaging option. So if you go to the Sri Lanka Customs page on Facebook, you won't be able to do any messaging there. So you can't message them, and it will say that it's an unofficial page. Because obviously, because there had been hurdles in implementing these things at government institutions, because not everyone understands the issue. So that is where something has a regulation sort of thing has to come from a top level domain, say for example from the president's office. No, I mean not the regulation for the users, but for the government institutions. Say for example, who manages these pages? Like, should there be a different division to manage these pages? Should they have a KPI? Should they respond in time? So like how often they should post things, and what are the things that should go on? Can they post anything from whatever their trade unions do? Can they post those things? Or should they be posting only the services they offer? Those sort of regulations. So if I remember right, like during the previous government, there was an effort to draft a social media policy for government institutions. So I'm not sure what happened afterwards, but after the change of government, I have not seen anything to that level happening. But something like that for government institutions would be ideal to start, to make other government institutions use that. But currently, like Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Finance, and like selected Ministry of Higher Education, they have Facebook presence and Twitter presence now. They tend to but mostly if you go to their pages and profiles, you see what they post is mostly the statements by the minister, so which is of no use to the general public. So that is where the regulation or the policy needs to come from top officials. And so the future. So another example, this is not entirely social media. Another example I can give is Estonia. During my recent visit to US, I met a person from Estonia. Estonia is a very small country which was part of Soviet Union, now independent. It has less than 2 million people as population. But it is one of the most advanced countries in the world when it comes to using digital technology and digital tools. Say for example, they give a very easy example on how advanced they are. For the last 10 years, say if you take from 2006, the people of Estonia have not used paper or pen to sign a government document. If they want to apply for a birth certificate or apply for a national identity card, they don't have to write on paper and sign it. They do everything online. So this short paragraph will give you a short example on how things are being done there. So when you are born, you are provided with an ID card or an online ID credential, which can be used to access more than 3,000 government services online. So you don't have to visit any office. From starting a business to paying your taxes to admitting your kids to schools to, say for example, if your kid falls ill for 3 days, as a parent, you can log into his profile, school profile, and see what are the lessons he has missed. You can see what are the lessons he has to cover before going to the school on the 4th day. So they are advanced to that level. So another thing, that the picture below that is actually a citizenship ID card. So Estonia has grown to a level where now they provide Estonian citizenships to people from different countries. So the Prime Minister of Japan, the Chancellor of Germany, all are now e-citizens of Estonia. I mean, they are like, he may be the Prime Minister of Japan, but he is an Estonian citizen. So he may be a Chancellor of Germany. I mean, when I visited Google recently, few of the Google employees had this card in their wallets. What they are doing is they are testing how things work in Estonia. So the Estonian colleague tells me that most of the Indian people have businesses through this Estonian citizenship. So what this card allows you is you have to pay one time, say for 100 euros or something, and you get the Estonian citizenship. And you can start a business in Estonia by sitting in Sri Lanka. You can open an Estonian bank account by sitting in Sri Lanka. You can pay the taxes for your business by sitting in Sri Lanka to the Estonian bank. And you can export to the European Union. So you get the whole picture. So that's how things work in different countries. And that's kind of the future we should be dreaming of. Not, free Wi-Fis to railway stations and, that sort of thing. So that's a short message I have for today. Like, it doesn't, to give you an examples of what we have done successfully, there's not many, but there are a lot we can do in the future. That's kind of the message I want to give. So thank you.